Greetings everyone, this is another traveler video here. Before I actually get back into my solo scout campaign with the IISS Intrepid and its intrepid crew, I did want to cover some things, some resources. In the background I've been researching, looking at, and I've found a number of resources I wanted to quickly kind of show you that I'm using. Mainly for solo RPG, but another one for world building also. But before I do that, I just wanted to share with you, I have a simple kind of blog site using Blogspot, which I kind of use off and on, and I've decided to use it to generate the narration for the campaign. Just give it a little more, color, commentary, etc. I'm not a professional writer. I make no claim to be one. I have no aspiration to be one. So these narratives are usually just a kind of stream of consciousness, kind of connect the dots, try and give a flow to what's going on. So I wanted to show that real quick. Here's my website. You can get the link off the top corner of my video site, on my YouTube site, or you can also, I'm dropping the links to the narration posts for each recording as I do them in YouTube. So, and with that said, I've pretty much done it. I'm not going to go back to the first events we did when they were doing the dry run on the different on the planet in system where the captain got knocked out for some reason. You can follow that on the videos, but this I decided to start here with with the first actual survey to another system. So you can see I've got two entries here. First, the departure for the first system survey, and I've got a link back to the YouTube video. And then the initial survey of the Kotari system and their plans on how to go in. And again, the links are in the comments for the YouTube video, and you can take a look at that. I also have some, apparently I did do a post for part of episode. This isn't all 1 through 4, but this seems to be right before they had to, Carol got taken out and they had to emergency evacuate and return. This one doesn't have any of that, but it's there. And then I do have some backstory on our two main characters, Captain Burnett and Engineer Bono. I don't know if I'll do one for Astrogator Bob and Mary the Explorer, but we'll see. So all of this is up on this blog site if you want to read some narration, and if you do, click in here and you see it's just basically an accounting of what happened, trying to tie it together. And again, I make no claims to being a writer of any form, so my main goal is to make sure Grammarly corrects my grammar so I don't make any stupid mistakes or misspellings. But that's another resource which I'm going to try and keep up on as I do the videos. Okay. So what I did want to go over today is, and I've incorporated a lot of these resources and their tables into my Vassal mod that I'm just using as my center point to do all my stuff here. But I pretty much built myself up now to 4 solo RPG sources. The first one I've already talked about, the Zozer, specifically campaigns for the Cepheus engine. Well, Cepheus is the open source version of Traveler, so I can easily use this. And you've seen me in the videos using this. Gives some guidelines, some philosophy. It's got some general charts that I've been using, and then you see for the different types of campaigns you're playing, it's got its own unique set of charts for each. Just travelers, star traders, naval officers, survey scouts, and I'm using the survey scouts right now, but I have no problem shifting over to naval. I probably want to focus on these two. And there was Mongoose put out some naval campaigns that I also have in guidance that I'll try and incorporate too. When and if I get shifted over to the naval, maybe the Corvette squadron that's supposed to come into system here. I think it was in 3 weeks. Yeah, could be. I'll look that up. But yeah, 3 weeks, but our crew will be out and about during that time. And I have incorporated these charts to make life easier for me instead of paging virtually through here. And we've got the general tell me D6 about a person and about a situation. I think I've used these already with Carol, so this is one option of table. Life events, used mainly during character creation, so I probably won't see this some more. PC relationships, this is interesting. Trying to avoid this stuff over here if I have to. It just complicates things. But actually, I do have some. Next time we do the campaign, I think I'll do the relations between. Haven't given him a last name, but the first officer on the Endurance detached duty with Captain Astaire that they met on their way out. They're friends. Mike's also got connections to Carol and Sonny, so we'll map that out there. Here's another interesting table, crew reaction. The way Zozer does it, you may have seen me use it before too. A long period of time. If you roll less than an 8, I think. Wait, is that how it goes? Yeah, 8 plus, nothing happens. But if if you don't do that or something happens, this will generate a crew reaction. I think I did this with Sonny at first when he realized who the captain was. So this is another one to use for a character even. Well, they do have a separate one for NPC reaction. You use this for the scout base. Commander, who is not a friend of Carol's, is distantly related to her from the same whole world. And he rolled here, I think, for the first conflict they had. He was unconcerned. I turned it into lackadaisical. So, when they first met, we know shows no favors. But when it was the specific issue he became unconcerned about, which you'll read about in the narration. And those are the ones out of Zozer. These are the general tables. And then solo RPG, yeah, it's this one right here. Just came out. There's a number of good generic tables here. We'll look at them in a second, but I have already, you may have seen me incorporate using some of these. Single event, or this kind of gives the answer. This gives 4 answers depending on your range on a D20. Pick the general thing. It's unlikely this is true, and then you roll no, but, or yes, but. And then here's what I call the but table. And here's another one you can do. This is coming from that solo RPG. Pretty straightforward. 50-50, 51 or greater, and then it moves up, looks like increments of 25 and 10. The real key thing about using these tables is asking the question, forming the question, yes, no, asking good questions, but not asking too many questions. Don't have it entirely run by die rolls is what they recommend. So that's a good table. Then I've got another thing I realized I picked up a while ago on Wargame Vault, the Mythic game emulator. And I've already incorporated a few of the charts there. This is the fate chart. This is again kind of the yes/no question, but they make it a little more involved here. They introduce this chaos factor, but bottom line what it says is, I think, yeah, you got to roll under 50 for yes, but above 50 for no here, and then these smaller numbers are really yes, really no. And they kind of describe it down here. If you roll the lower 1/5 of the success range. So if I rolled 10 or less, it's really yes, and you can create narrative around that, or really failure if you roll greater than 90. I've spent a little time with this chaos rank. They basically say the game starts at 5, and depending on events and everything, it's the player's call. Maybe they start increasing the chaos level or decreasing the chaos level. So that's just another lever in this chart here. And they've got some other tables here. I think I moved that one over here. And then if you want to unpack, you get an event, something happens, you can do this verb-noun combo here. Like we could have kill a burden, or kill friendship, or harming rumor. Okay? So you can see, and you'll see this in other solo ones, you can combine these two to kind of generate more narrative. Okay, you say this upcoming action, this unknown action, let's wrap a verb and a noun around it. Okay? Real quick on Zozer, since I've already looked at it before, now we get to the specific scout ones. Each campaign has this, and it gives you a nice checklist, which I may or may not embellish, as we go, but pretty much done the pregame, so here we go. You've seen me do this. Starport encounter prior to liftoff. Then after liftoff, starship encounter, and we saw as they left the scout base, they encountered the Endurance and their friend Captain Astaire. Then we have onboard events and they found out during their jump transit that 9 out of 10 of their probes are not operational. If you read the narrative, I put some details around that. And then we enter a new system, decide on the entry point, inner system or outer system. Right now we're at the 109 diameter. This is where I kind of jumped more out to Mongoose and said, all right, let's do the jump. And then the companion, I think it was a companion, or maybe the main book had some jump drive rolls you have to make, and you saw me do that in the video. And then we just completed the quick survey here of the single main planet and its orbit, and we've labeled it. So if we were following the checklist, we went to here. And now we've got survey targets they talk about, calculate travel time at the landing site. Now, at the landing site, I'll be rolling for the landing, etc. Actually, you see in our last recording, or narrative, we're going to go through going to one of the gas giants and exercising the fuel scoop skimming rules. Again, I think in the compendium from Mongoose. Then you travel between the sites, and at each site something can go wrong, go right, etc. You get survey points, we'll see. But, I'm going to use this as kind of a framework, but I'm going to add other stuff as we go. Here's the starport encounter table we've rolled on before. This is the starship encounter. We're on the frontier one. And here's the frontier potential results if you have one. If you run into ship types, what kind are they? Large transports, small transports. The reaction of the ships you run into. Yeah, that's what we got here with the Endurance. They were dropping nav beacons. Okay, and here's the event while you're in transit too. So good stuff here. And then there's a whole bunch of stuff here for when you. And I think I put the scout checklist here too. They got the world categories. So using these, you can classify the world categories, which then informs you on. This gives times. But the point I want to make, here's survey time. Here's survey problems. So you're going to do that for each. I would say each, like if there's 3 targets on a planet, each target we're going to roll this time. Survey anomalies. And then here's the desert world, garden world, hellhole, hot Jupiter, ice ball, rocky world, water, planetoid belt, etc. All these places. These are targets, survey targets. Maybe I need to make these bigger. But that's why it's important to classify the survey, classify the type of planet. Here's survey problems, and then survey points. So a lot of tables here too to generate. And this is all from Zozer here. I'm not going to page through it. So let's look real quick here at the Solo Game Master's Guide. I think all of these are available on Wargame Vault or Drive-Thru-RPG. And there's some good philosophy here with reading that she's written. But I'll jump real quick down here to the tables that I've used, and I think I've copied most of them. Yeah, 10 mindsets. Everything is playing. You don't need any. Don't forget the G in RPG. Words. What happens next? Play emotions. Stats are not story. History is your friends. Yeah, I mean all good stuff. I'm going to be. I know one of my commentators mentions too. I'm more a gearhead, so I'm going to. As when we get into the survey and stuff, there's some really awesome resources for that, and that's getting down into the charts and tables and the gearhead stuff. But in general, these are good things here. Getting started guide, yeah. Luckily, in my case, it's pretty straightforward. Scouts, mapping a subsector. But this is how do they tell you to get into it in general. There's some good stuff here. Yeah, and then here's some tables, and we've already seen them. I was just showing them to you here. The solo RPG. These 4 I've already started using, and you see it here. This one, yes, no. Oh, and then this is interesting. Character attributes. I don't think I've incorporated this yet. If you want to flesh out a character or how they feel or what they're doing, excited, suspicious, etc. So there's some good stuff here. D66. A little bit more than this. Yeah. Some more words. So that's tempting there. Some of these I have to think about. This is for storytelling pretty much. No rules. Yeah, you could. This is just generating an RPG on the fly with no rule set. That's interesting. It would be something to try. Terrain types. Pretty much got that defined in ours, but adjusting stats. Don't need to do that. Oh, I think that's it. Yeah, so the only one out of this that I think I haven't incorporated yet in my thing, I need to get this one in there. Character attributes. Yeah, oh wait, there's random tables in J. Hold on. E, F, G, H. Oh, that's right, I gotta get through this. H. Oh, this is a lot. Recommended rule sets. That's nice if you want to do that. Here, essential random tables. This is the one she had before. Here's no, no, but, yes, yes, but. Here's the but table. Here's just yes, no, percentile. And this is coming from a game called Ironsworn. We'll revisit that. Here's another one then to use. Action Oracle could be useful. Use this table to inspire, discover a goal or situation. Theme, if you wanted a theme for your campaign or an action. I'm probably not going to be using this. They're scouts. They're scouting, but we'll see. Plot twists, if you want to throw it in. This is now getting a bit literary. Distance, how far is something, if you had to ask that question. And then some interventions, if you want to liven things up. Ask the stars. I got to spend a little more time on this one. Npc Trades Table. That's another one that looks similar to what we saw. Kind of like the character attribute, character reaction, but this is now traits. So that's potentially something you'll use. It's a 1d10 from Disciples of Bone and Shadow. And magic, I'm not going to probably be using that. So there are some good general tables to get out of this one. And it's a good read, so I'd encourage you to look at it. Mythic, another one that's very popular. They talk about the yes-no question also, but they end up with that fate chart. That was the big one right there. The fate chart. And I think they've got some randomness tables too. Let's see. There's the fate chart for your yes-no. So multiple yes-no tables. Randomness. Yeah, here it is. Random events, etc. Oh, event focus table. Incorporate that maybe where it makes sense. And then we have, here's a similar thing. Here's the action. Here's the subject. Here's the verb. Here's the noun here. So that's kind of common to what we saw previously, I think, in one of the tables. Oh, I've already got it stored here. That's it right there. So if you wanted to wrap something around that, you could do that too. So yeah, and I view these as kind of generic solo game master's guide, and the Mythic are kind of generic solo RPG. But Ironsworn is interesting. Ironsworn initially came out as, medieval or magic and the shields and swords, but I think a few years ago they came out with a sci-fi version of Ironsworn, and it's meant to be a solo RPG or cooperative RPG, I guess, right out of the box. So they came out with Ironsworn Starforged, and it looks interesting. I'm probably at this point not going to use a system and try and push Traveler in it. I'm mainly looking for solo resources, and they do have a number of solo resources. You see, I put it up here, aimed at sci-fi. So, I'm finding this is a great resource for this kind of stuff. This is just looking at the game. There's a basic mechanic of rolling the dice here to get your three, answers. I think it's yes, no, and really yes. I think you roll 1d6, add your modifiers, and then 2d10. Those are the challenge device, and if your d6 plus modifiers is greater than both challenge dice, that's a really strong yes or whatever. If it's greater than 1, it's a qualified yes. And then I think if it's less than both, it's not good. I don't think they have it in here. Probably not going to be using that initially, but it's tempting to use. It does cover all the bases. But what they do have is a whole bunch of cool sci-fi based charts that I'm going to think about how to use it. And let's see, there's some other stuff here. The oracles, they call it. Solo and co-op play. Here's some general rules, and this is what all the other ones have basically said. Ask your question, yes or no, form it, choose appropriate oracle table, roll 1d100, check the answer to reveal the answer, and then, some solo RPGing. What's the context? Where does it make sense? Build the narrative. If the answer is a bad fit, re-roll. Or try a different table. Okay, so pretty much common sense here. Don't overuse the tables, obviously. I don't think there's anything here I want to talk about. Yeah, and then they have some, this is like core, they call them, are oracles. And this looks like, again, the verb-noun combo. Yeah, and here's a theme. Well, we don't actually see. There's the action. There's the theme. Okay. If you need that. And then they have a descriptor. Define the nature of a location, discover or encounter, roll for a descriptor, and a focus. It's ancient and it's material. I don't know. 1d100. And then you got to take those two words and use that to seed your narrative. Okay. And I think I threw, theme, descriptor, focus. There was some other ones I'm throwing in here. They got this sector trouble if you wanted it. You could roll this. You may see that in my campaign. I'm slowly building. Something's going on that's not legal, that's drawing attention. Impounded rumors, impounded Star Trader, rumors of piracy, illegal trade. And then, of course, our friends on the Endurance who have strong ties to Imperial intelligence. So I doubt they were sent here just to drop nav buoys. If you read the narrative, you'll see that with Carol. And then even an inspiration for the sector. Again, use these where it makes sense. Now, this is what I like. They add a little bit more to the encounters. I had the encounters table in Zozer, but here's another one, and it's based on where you're at. This is kind of like dense area, outlands of the Empire forever, for example. And here's unexplored frontier, and that's what we're going to be rolling on. Probably going to be using this going forward. And you see, this means it goes to another table, and we'll see there's a bunch of tables there. But then you got other things. I don't know. Roll twice, roll 3 times. Oh my gosh, that's a lot. Maybe informational. Who knows? Debris, etc. But as you jump into each site, new site, you could roll this. When the Oracle primary mission of Waypoint. Thinking waypoints are going to be our system destinations. So this is a space sighting. Then here's some general explanation of it. And then here's stuff to name your sector. I found something online to generate it, and that's where I got Qatari. That doesn't necessarily mean anything, but here's another way to name your sector, and I'm not using their generation system, but they do have one. You see on a 1d100. It does define the stellar object type. And then potentially, if there's a trouble, you can roll on this table. And if you want an opportunity, beneficial event, you can roll on this table. Okay. When you roll a strong hit with a match as you undertake an expedition or explore a waypoint, etc. That's tied to their game. Here we've got different planet types. Again, I'm probably not going to use these. I'm going to generate it using something a little more advanced. And then here they give you, how to explore planets. Again, I'm going to probably use, here we go, I keep this here, the world builder. I mean, it's kind of common sense, but the world builder here we'll talk about in a second. There you go. This one kind of describes, and you'll see in some of my narrative I was following this one. Okay. So coming back to Ironsworn, here we go. And then they got each type of world. So should be available to, yeah, here we got desert world. That's like a hellhole. Don't know how to define this one, but here's your ice ball, ice world. Here's your garden world. I mean, here's your ocean world, tainted atmosphere world. Got to think about how I'm going to get a vital world in there, or a grave world, like, abandoned civilization, how to incorporate that with the world building to see if that's a possibility. And then for each one, they have a different chart here. I don't have to really use the atmosphere. This is the one I find interesting, settlements. Now we're doing the expanse, and you see the odds are that there isn't any, and that's good. That matches the Zozer solo. Here's an orbital, here's a planet size, so I'm tempted by this one. Tempted. And we've got some stuff to maybe feed the survey points that we want to do. And then it talks about planet side feature, and if there's life even. And it does this for each type of world. This is observed from space, items, and planet side. And these can be used to generate a narrative, generate actions by the crew. Here's our grave world. Yeah, 195, nobody's there. It's because it's probably a fallen civilization. Ice world. I don't know how to do this. Not like you're going to be landing on Jupiter. You'll be skimming, but I mean, reading the skimming rules, if you get all the way down to the rocky part of Jupiter, well, you're dead. If you aren't dead already. Jungle world. Garden world, Here's a world mainly ocean. A rocky world. Here's your shattered world. I don't know how you identify that. Planet sundered by cataclysmic destruction. Some of these I may have to just make a high percentage, do it like very unlikely, and then roll and see if it happens. Tainted. This could be related to the atmosphere. And this one I don't know how to do. Vital world means, well, a possible life-bearing world, so we can roll out. Notice slightly higher odds to get a settlement, only 1 to 80 for none. So these all can be used to add color, and then where they live, planet-side features. And we got planet-side perils, planet-side opportunities. May add this to the Zozer stuff. Okay. Then they have a settlements, and if you do have settlements, they give you first look, initial contact. What's the authority? What are they working on? What's their focus? Maybe black market, a group of pirates. Is there settlement trouble? Get some names. Here's another one that's interesting. Using their table, it is possible to, well, these are starship encounters first. And here we get types of starships. But I'm going to look. I think I've got the, that runs off of the initial table that we saw before, and then you roll on this and you could end up with different types. And here's a cool one, fleet. Oops, bump. If they bump into a fleet out here, that's going to be an alien species. But this tells you what kind of fleet. Initial contact, first look with these starships. What's the mission they're on? Okay, they say you could use this for your own mission too, this table. Pretty good, but what the mission is they're on, you're bumping into, get some names. And that's it for those. Okay. Characters could be used for NPCs. See roles, define their goal, revealed character aspect. Here's more names. I may use this, call signs. I may roll that for all our 4 crew. And our 2 crew on the Endurance. Character name and call signs. Here's if you bump into creatures. Ultra scale. I mean, you can have all sorts of different spaces. 1 to 5, they're in space. Or interior, on land, liquid air, how big they are. And this is an interesting one. If kind of look at where they are on this way. And then it tells you the type of animal. First look, counter behavior, aspect or revealed behavior. Factions are pretty much if you run into settlements and/or governments. You do see, though, there are expensive rules for those in Traveler, too. So maybe this could be used as a quick way to spin these up here. Yeah, and some names for them, etc. Whole bunch of tables here. Faction rumor. Derelicts. This will be interesting. If our scout ship comes upon a derelict starship, be it planetside in orbit or deep space, and then they've got some, what does it look like on the outside, first time inside. Here's a summary, and then, what zone you do your initial entry into of the ship. Generic zones, kind of. And then they talk about if you come in an access, I think that's one of these. Oh, access is your first one, and then you get one of the zones. And here we can get the access area, the features, the perils, the opportunities. And then we do it zone by zone, community, engineering. So if you want to explore a derelict ship, I guess you could expand it to space station. This would be pretty cool to use. So I've included that there too in my list over here. Precursor vaults. I view this as ancient relics. I think that's what they're talking about here. Previous civilizations. That's a possible encounter too, and they give you all that. Here it is, precursor vaults. Precursor means came before vaults of their stuff, and they give you kind of a diagram. Don't know if I'll run into this. I'll let the tables tell me. Let's see. Sanctum features, all sorts of stuff. What do you see? Sanctum perils, opportunities, location themes. I probably won't use, but and then they've got themed locations. Don't think I will necessarily be using that though. Let's see. We got planets, settlements, ancient vaults. I think the last one we got is miscellaneous. Oracles somewhere down here. Those are the different themes. There we go. If you want to throw in a story complication, go for it. And then I'll just click it here. There's a story clue. Something out of the ordinary occurs. And if you get into combat action. Now again, this system has its own combat rules, its own even, I think, Starship combat, but I won't be using that, and I'll kind of address especially Starship combat in a later video. I got some more Traveler resources trying to decide which one to use. Anomaly effect, combat action. More Oracle tables. Actually, I think that was it. Yep. So that's Starforged. Like I said, it just came out a year or two ago, and you can buy it on drive-through or directly from the vendor. I think the original Iron Sworn was free, but this one isn't, as far as I can tell. You got to pay for it. I went ahead and bought it, and I'm using it initially for all these awesome tables I can use to add to mainly the Zozer tables. And then MGT. There is some table. Well, I haven't put them in here. Here we go. I've included my notes, I guess, for Mongoose and Spaceship Ops. I need to put something in here for fuel scooping, and then we'll be good to go. So, and then the last thing I want to show you, because I've been running kind of long, but I keep going back and forth on this one, because it is pretty detailed. This is the World Builder's Handbook from Digest Group. It came out, I think, in the early 90s or late 80s. It doesn't say. But this is great for, the world builder, and I haven't incorporated it here. As much as I'd like to give guidelines, background. this is this is great here. Did I include it here? No, I haven't built those out, but here's your planetographer's checklist. Use this as guidance, and it even goes down to specific systems to use. Densitometer, can't pronounce that word. EMS array. It talks about their approach coming all the way in, so that's real helpful. So I use that to guide it in my narrative, and then they've got, and I don't know if I want to, this is getting really detailed. Here's your sensor panel, and the game master could use this to say you detect, where's the distance, etc. And then they talk about each of the different tools here, and there's a lot of them. Handheld densometer, neural activity, image converter. I'm thinking to incorporate all of these in too, because they have information about how to use them, how to check you're successful, how to. So I've been looking at these. Bioscanner, floater. These are all tools here, but then they also get into there's your stuff, laser relay, data display, general purpose vac suit, PLSS, A and B, C. This is one I like. They're using this when they're on, near breathable or breathable, so they'll be wearing this during their initial foray when they land on the upcoming planet. There's some vac suits, heavy duty, utility vest, grav belt. That's nice. And then we want the this one, although I have other resources, I may get a better air car. It's going to be hard for 4 people to sleep in here. Although they're going to take 3 and leave somebody at the ship, but it gives you specs on a general air car there. Another type. But the one I was looking at, and then they got plans for this, what do they call it? Donosev. But then they talk about building a planet, and I'm tempted with the next one to do it on this one, and this is really detailed. Defining the orbital zones, and now we talk about our worlds and we go through all sorts of steps here. I've seen similar detail in Traveler 5, but I may, just for the planet we have, go ahead and drive through this. Definitely gearhead stuff to figure out, stuff, the diameter, belt zones, and it keeps going. Orbital period, orbital, I think axial tilt, seismic factor, atmosphere, more detail. Yeah, here's the axial tilt. So there's a lot of charts and tables here to map out. And here we're just now getting the hydrosphere, okay? Hydrographics, water, etc. More tables, population, if we're dealing with something that really has. Probably won't do that. I'll let that be driven by Zozer and the Starforged tables. Then they have a whole bunch of stuff about the society. So I think I'm going to settle with this one. I've reviewed other planet building stuff beyond, the Mongoose Standard, yeah, that's what I've been using so far, the Mongoose Standard. One found in the Explorer Handbook, Starter, or the main handbook, but I'm probably going to use this one. And like I said, though, Traveler 5 has a detailed one. Traveler GURPS, which I just picked up, has a detailed one, or GURPS Space that I could use, but I think I'm going to try this one out first for a detail. And they even get into mapping it on a hexagonal, or however you want to pronounce that word, map. Kind of like the Invasion Earth map for GDW. So I may take a look at that. And that's, getting down into the weeds, but hey, that's part of the reason here. And I'm running my campaign as not from excitement to excitement, but pretty much running it as scouts doing their job, which, you read these accounts of all through history. It's, hours of boring punctuated by, minutes of absolute chaos and, fear. So I'm hoping the random tables will generate that for things, but otherwise, just going to run it like scouts doing their job, and we'll see if the pirates appear. If they do, we'll see if the Endurance gets involved. We'll see if the corvettes arrive and then start doing patrols and they run into them. We'll see if they bump into advanced civilizations or even advanced empires. Again, I don't have the plan. I'm going to let the tables drive that kind of stuff and add as I feel I need to. So, but there we go. Just wanted to show you some resources I'm pulling off of in case you were curious. And yeah, for solo RPG, I'm definitely using Zozer. And you saw the Starforged stuff. I like that. And then some generic tables and guidance we've got from these two. So as I continue on, I'll get comfortable with these things and hopefully streamline it. And then you did see that the survey and world building, we can make it pretty intense, and probably going to take a shot at doing this one for our current campaign, our current Qatari Prime planet that we're going to map out. Alright, great. So I think that's enough. Just to give you that big picture. Comments are appreciated, especially on this, because I'm a newbie to this, and being mainly a grognard wargamer, I'm into detail. And there is a tendency I could just get too caught up in the details here, and well, I kind of enjoy that too. So unlike probably the majority of solo RPG or RPG games you see online, that people have videoed, I'm not going to be, trying to generate adventure or conflict or any of that. I'll let the random tables do that, and in the meantime, I just want to get kind of crunchy with the sci-fi side, the hard sci-fi, be it, planet building, system mapping, even starship operations if possible. And there's lots and lots of resources out there for that, so my challenge is understanding them and picking the ones that make sense and then melding them into a streamlined system, so I can kind of move off spending all my time on reading all this stuff, once I've got it behind me, and then I can run in the campaign and then kind of doing the narrative too on the side, like I mentioned. So that should be enough. We are at 40 minutes. Maybe one of these days I'll get down to 15 minutes of video. But anyway, I appreciate comments on this. If you have any other systems or sources or any guidelines on this. But otherwise, I'm going to take this out, and we're at the point now where the Intrepid is about to go in system to that first gas giant in the Qatari system. And we're going to work through the fuel skimming rules coming out of the, I think it's the compendium. It may be under Starship Operations for the main mongoose. So we'll put those through their paces. And we'll find out if the drones are fixed. And then hopefully if that goes well, they will move on to the survey target, Qatari Prime, and we'll start mapping that one out and identifying places to land, and again seeing what happens, and especially these Ironsworn tables I'm looking forward to using, Starforged tables, let me put it that way, because they've got some cool stuff that we can use to help with our randomization. Alright, so great. If you like, click like, comments appreciated, and please subscribe so you can keep tabs. Thanks for listening.